Have you ever thought about adding permanent jewelry to your boutique? Well, today I've actually got a seven-figure boutique owner here with me. Ashely, tell us a little bit about your business.
So we are an online boutique. We've been an online boutique for the past 6 years. And I started this as just a business out of my house, packing up my clothes, taking them to people's houses. And we currently have a 10,000 square foot space that we just bought. We opened a retail space, and with opening the retail space, I just thought it was a perfect time with permanent jewelry taking off to add it on to our list of services or things that we offer at the boutique. So we're now offering permanent jewelry. We've been offering it for a couple of weeks now, and I think that we've already generated between $3,000 and $4,000 of revenue, additional revenue to our boutique, and it's been amazing.
What is your plan, going into the new year? Do you have a plan to expand that, or are you going to kind of keep it in store? Like, what's your plan?
Absolutely. So we are definitely going to continue to offer it in store. We have a couple of girls that are getting trained. One that has been really focusing on it, and she's gotten really good at it. We wanted to make sure that it was something else. If we're going to offer it, we want to be really good at it. So we've started offering that. We're going to keep it in store. We're going to start running ads as well to our local community and letting people come in and book appointments for their permanent jewelry. And then the first part of next year, I'm hoping to be able to expand on the permanent jewelry business and offer my staff an opportunity to make additional money by getting more of the machines and offering them an opportunity to be a traveling permanent jewelry business, where now it's not just in the boutique, but now we're traveling out and doing parties with other people and bringing it to them.
Yeah, that's such a profitable opportunity because you've seen on the group and you've seen it in person yourself. Like every single day, a new Link student is always saying like, "Hey, I made like 3,000 today," or "I made like 2,000 today." It's just crazy.
It is. It's really crazy. It's been, and it just adds up quickly, and the profit margin has been really amazing for us. So and they love it. The customers love it. It's something fun, and it's just different. It's something that they can really personalize, that they can get something with their best friend or their sister, or I had a mom, daughter, and grandma come in, and they all got matching anklets, and it's just a really cool way to kind of have something special with you and your friends, or you and your mom or dad or boyfriend, whoever you want to get the permanent jewelry with. It's really cool.
If you could go back, and I know you're running a seven-figure business right now, but if you could go back to the days when you said you were starting in your garage, what would you tell yourself?
First of all, I mean, one thing to know is that like running a business, it's not always easy. It's not cupcakes and rainbows. It is hard sometimes. There are days that you don't want to do it. You want to give up on it. But it always, you can't lose if you don't quit. So I always say, don't quit. You just need to you have to figure out how to reinvent the wheel. And I still have to tell myself that sometimes. Even as running the large business that I'm running, there are still days that are hard, that I don't want to do this anymore. But it's really important, I think, to always have goals set and to kind of know what you're working towards. Set attainable goals and celebrate those goals. When I think I don't do that enough sometimes, is celebrating goals. But set those goals and then celebrate them when you accomplish them, and look at those milestones, and always take time to look back and see, okay, I've come really far, and I didn't come this far to just come this far. So it's definitely been a journey, and it's been something, I think that the way I started with clothing, and I think it's just not that different than the permanent jewelry business. I used to pack up the clothing, and it was hard. Like, it was hard leaving my family on Friday nights and stuff to pack up the clothing and go to do a pop-up. But I was telling you before, something I always like to do is when I would go to that pop-up, I would set a goal for myself that before I leave that pop-up, that I have another pop-up booked for whoever, somebody that's at that party, that they have so much fun that they end up booking a party at their house within the next couple of weeks. So that's something I think that's really important moving forward and growing your business, is to set those goals and make sure that you're saying, okay, when I leave this place, I want to have another party booked before I leave here.
When you say I want to have another party booked, are you like asking people? Are you asking the host? Like, what is your process behind that?
I think it's really important to incentivize. And I think that I started with a direct sales background, and incentivizing people, it really makes a difference. So you can you can talk with them. Especially if everybody's having fun, I would offer some sort of credit to whoever's hosting the party, whether it's 10% off of whatever the sales are. If you give them 10%, say, okay, 10%, or if we sell, for every 10 bracelets that we sell, you get a free bracelet, or you get, set some kind of tiered, if we sell this, you get this. They'll encourage their friends to get more. And then you can just always say to them, this is something, if we're having fun here, like I'd totally love to come out to your house. Don't put pressure on it, but just, say if they're having fun, and you can especially see that some of those people are having fun, let them know this is something that you can do too. I would love to come out to your house, and we can have a permanent jewelry at your house for your friends, and you can earn credit off of whatever's sold at the party.
Yeah, I love that, because like I've had multiple students ask me like, hey, how do I get into these salons, or how do I go to these pop-ups and, be hosted basically? And I'm like, well, you always got to appeal to their interest. And so like, what are the benefits for them? Why should they care? And so like you hit the nail on the head, like when you can show people how it benefits them, it's going to be so much easier to book things like that.
I always like to do, this was one little tiny trick that like I would always do when I was booking these parties, just a little, is I would give them 3 dates that I was available. So don't say I'm wide open, I can do any day that you need. You kind of have to create that scarcity and create that like fear of missing out with them. And you open your calendar and you tell them, okay, well, I have this date, or this date available at these times, and you give them 3 times that they can pick from, and don't leave it wide open for them, because then they feel like you're begging. You want them to feel like you're overcommitted and you're getting really booked up fast, especially with the holidays coming, and they need to book like right now if they want that spot.
So let's talk about, selling. Do you like when you get a permanent jewelry client in, have you trained your staff on like how to do upsells, how to do, different things like stacking bracelets, or is that something you kind of just, you don't talk about?
So one thing that I always like to do is you want to be a walking advertisement for your business. Mm-hmm. You want to be wearing this. I show them I'm mixed metals here. I've got gold. I've got rose gold. I've got this chain down here. What are you wearing? Are you showing them, are you walking in with no jewelry on? Because you want to be a walking advertisement for your business. I own a boutique, and I do not leave my house without every single thing that I'm wearing in my clothing. Especially when I'm traveling to markets and stuff, I always make sure that I'm wearing stuff that I have in stock. Mm-hmm. So whatever you're wearing, you want to make sure you have good stock of that, because people are probably going to want what you're wearing. They're going to see it on you, and they're going to want that. So that's something that I think is really important, is when you're showing them, like, don't just have one bracelet on, have 3 bracelets on, have an anklet on, have 2 anklets on, have a neck, like, be a walking advertisement for your business. Because if people see it and they see how it's paired together, they're going to be like, I mean, I can't tell you, these are the chains that we sell out of the most, the ones that I'm always wearing. And people are like, oh, I love how that all looks together. So always, I think that's really, really important. Just adding those things on and showing them how you style it, because they're going to want what you're wearing.
As far as like booking stuff, let's start diving into some details. Do you have a specific booking software you prefer?
We just started using Calendly. It's on our website. The girl that does permanent jewelry, she's also in charge of our shipping department. So I have to have it booked, because I need to know, she needs to know when she's going to have to take a pause from shipping. We like to have those booked. If somebody calls, we'll let her know, we'll put it on the calendar. But that is my plan right now. I had my photographer come in for the grand opening. We got some pictures done, some of that, and we're going to start running ads, offering permanent jewelry in Tarpon Springs. Click this link to book your appointment. And that's where we're going to start doing that, is being able to book appointments all throughout the week. Hopefully going to have 1 or 2 more of the girls get trained on the permanent jewelry, so it's not just all on one person.
And I love how you're delegating the training, because as you're growing a business, and like I've had multiple people like contact me like, hey, this is interesting, but I don't have the time to do this because I'm already booked up with my other services. I'm like, well, why don't you hire someone to do it and work out? So what is your pricing structure on that, as far as like, your employee or contractor relationship?
Right now, like I said, my employees are just either salaried or hourly employees.
Okay.
So they're doing that. If it's a weekend, I do pay extra. I do pay time and a half for her to come in and do the permanent jewelry, especially if we're booked on back-to-back appointments. But like I said, with moving forward, my plan is to start offering them some type of commission. I want to work out that structure, be able to let them go out there and empower them to be able to make additional money off of going out and doing permanent jewelry parties.
Yeah. So, I mean, long story short, like if you have somebody on commission, like they're more incentivized to like, hey, this chain goes with this one. And that like they're going to, instead of $100 bracelet, they could end up selling a $500 bracelet. So just to clarify to the viewers and listeners, you did the online training because that's our main thing we offer right now. So
Yes.
did you find that, helpful? Like it's funny because I get people who call me or message me and they're like, can I learn online? I'm like, yes, that's the whole reason we have an online training course. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
So the training course, yeah, was really helpful. I had her go through it and, it was the modules, right? And one by one, and she went through it. Honestly, I think that it's super helpful that it's there and that you can kind of go back and review it as well. Cause she would do it and then she would kind of pause and practice. And that's how I learn best too, is that if I can kind of do it along with the video. I think that was really helpful. And just the fact that like we have it and we always have access to it. So we're able to go back and review if there's a question about something or we need additional help on something or we need a refresher course. I think it's really helpful that we can go back and do that. And I think that training course is really beneficial.
One thing that's really like pleased me over the past couple of months is seeing how active our community is. I've literally had multiple people say this is the best Facebook group or support group I've ever been a part of. So I think our students have really kind of embraced this and everybody's excited and helping each other. With learning any new thing, there can be frustrations. Like you might, not understand how to weld, perfectly, and you're going to have, troubleshooting issues and stuff like that. But I feel like our groups really stepped up and helped each other along with Sarah helping them too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really great community. I always say that there is enough success in this world for anybody who's willing to work for it. So I'm never in competition with anybody else. If somebody there's another boutique right around the corner from me, and we've talked about like, let's do something together. Let's do like a boutique hop where they like come here and they come to us and then, they get 10% off at both stores or something like that. That was something we had just kind of brought up quickly, but don't stress if there's other, permanent jewelry people in your area or if they start popping up. Just have confidence in what you're doing. And, people like to see that. Other people like to see the community over competition. They like to know that it's not a negative thing.
The other thing with competition is I get some people that are like, hey, Jake, I'm interested in permanent jewelry, but, there's one other girl in my town. There's one other girl in my city that does it. Can I still do this? Yeah, with jewelry, you can do it on women, men, anyone's a candidate for, jewelry. Is this just a trend that's going to go away in a few months? I'm like, no, jewelry's like, been around since before the Egyptian Empire. And so it's been around for thousands of years.
Whether it's a trend or not, I think that we're at the very front end of this trend. And I think it's absolutely the time to get into it. And that's why I jumped.
Yeah. And honestly, like if you hadn't have told me that you're a 7-figure boutique owner, I would have guessed it anyways, because there are certain mindset shifts you have to make to get to the level you're at. And I know because I've done the journey myself and I've studied a lot of other entrepreneurs, but, I can tell when someone's, not on that path versus when they are, because the little things they say, like they're focused on the competitors, they're not, willing to invest. Like there's a bunch of things that you have to, and I'm not saying you're, me or you are perfect when it comes to entrepreneurship. It's things that we have to learn along the way. And we're just at a different stage, and that's why I'm trying to share this info with everybody who's listening.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a mindset. It really is. You have to know that it's an investment. Every business that you're going to start is going to be an investment, but you have to leverage that money to make more money. That's how it works. You have to spend money to make money. That's how it's going to work always.
I know I'm very careful with my time just because I was already running a very successful marketing agency for the past 5 years. And this is the first business I've started since then. And it's because when Sarah came to me with this idea, I was like, wow, this is something that's, I instantly saw the value, and it's something I'm very passionate about now. But, that just goes to show you that, I'm not the type of person that's like, oh, I'm going to do this business and this business and this business. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just, in my current stage, like, I'm like, all right, I'm going to switch, I'm going to keep the marketing agency, but I'm also going to do this permanent jewelry thing because it's something I really believe in. And I see the huge potential there.
Yeah. You have to be very cautious about where you put your time. And then you also have to make sure that you have the right people in place, because if
Yeah.
you're spread too thin, then everything just gets messy sometimes. So you have to make sure that when you're ready to do this, like if you are spread thin, but it is something you want to add on, make sure you have somebody in place that you feel like can learn this and learn how to do this. Me as the owner, I have learned it a little bit. I'm not great at it, but I know that it's, I just knew I had somebody on staff that that would be great at this. So
Yeah. And the good thing is it doesn't require welding experience. It doesn't require jewelry experience. We teach everything you need to know. And I'm sure the good thing is you already have the business experience. And so but even if they don't, that's the cool thing about our community. People can learn from people like you. They can learn from me. They can learn from all these other business owners that already have that knowledge and experience. So last topic, let's talk about boutiques. And so adding this, to a boutique, like let's say I'm a boutique owner and, somewhere, and I'm like, okay, why should I add permanent jewelry? Like, is this something I'm going to have to advertise a lot at, or do people kind of see it when they walk in? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I personally feel like the permanent jewelry has brought in new boutique customers, because that is kind of the hot trend that people are looking for right now. They don't know, there's not a lot of places that offer it.
Yeah.
We're kind of at the front end of the, offering the permanent jewelry, and it's definitely posting in the community group that we offer it has brought other people in that are like, oh, there's clothes, like it's a boutique, it's a full boutique, like you have clothing and stuff here too. So I think that it's a really, really great add-on service to just because not a lot of people are offering it right now. And if you have those capabilities to be able to offer that, I think it's, my plan is to start offering parties here in the boutique where they can do clothing, they can do permanent jewelry. The person that hosts the party will be able to get some sort of credit, whether it's a free piece of permanent jewelry or, $100 credit towards the clothing. It's kind of whatever they choose, but just being able to diversify. And because there are times like right now, to be honest with you, where people are not buying clothing quite as much as they do during the springtime or during, earlier in fall. You get towards the end of fall, you get towards Christmas and stuff, people just aren't buying clothing quite as much as they were maybe 2 months ago.
Right.
So diversifying and having multiple income streams is very, very important, especially in the, just in the current economic state that we're in. I feel like right now, and just going into Christmas, people are buying gifts. People are wanting, it's a great gift opportunity. I'm going to take my daughter, we're going to get permanent jewelry. Even my trainer's like, oh, when my daughter comes home from college, we're going to come in and get matching bracelets. So it's just a great opportunity. The markup is fantastic, and it's a great opportunity to bring people into your boutique to see the clothing and also to just have an additional stream of revenue, because we have to. It's great to diversify and just have, we have clothing, shoes, jewelry, and now we have permanent jewelry too.
And for those boutique owners watching, can you kind of explain the breakdown on average of, how much profit you're making per service and how long it takes?
So it takes, depending on how many, if somebody's just getting one bracelet, I've looked at it, and depending on the material that they're getting, it's about a 6 to even sometimes 10 times markup on the chain per inch from what you paid for it. If you're buying it by the foot and you want to break, you kind of want to, when I've done it, I've broken it down and said, okay, when I'm buying the chains, what do I think I can sell this chain for? Do I think people are going to buy it for this price? And then you divide it. If you're paying by the foot, then you divide that up by, the inches, because then you're going to be selling it by the inch. We do it by the inch. I know some people do the flat rate bracelets. I just prefer to do it by the inch. But it's a really fantastic markup. And, as you grow and offer more chains and be able to invest in more of the chains, and that's, you want to have that, because the more variety that you have there, the more things you have for them to pick from, the more they're probably going to get. If you just have 3 or 4 chains, they're going to feel limited and just probably pick one. But if they are like, their eyes light up with all the different things you have there and charms, and, they'll add more things on.
So let's say a customer walks into your boutique, they're looking at clothing, they don't know anything about permanent jewelry, and then they see it on display or they see your sign. and they start asking you a couple questions, like how long does the service actually take? Like if you did it there on the spot, is it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
It takes about 15 minutes, I would say, per piece. If they're doing multiple pieces, usually I would say about 15 to 20 minutes per piece, just to make sure, sometimes more, because sometimes they'll go back and forth. Oh, no, that's too tight. Oh, no, one more link, and you just kind of want to make sure that that chain is like cut perfectly, so you don't have to worry about, anybody coming back and saying it's too tight or it's too loose. So I would say about 15 minutes. It's a pretty quick service. And like I said, it can be very profitable. I think at our grand opening, we did just in permanent jewelry, I think we did about $2,300 just at our grand opening that day. And we had people that just didn't want to wait in line that came back later that week because, they're local. So they said, oh, I'm just going to make an appointment and come back.
Right. That's awesome. I guess my last question, I know I already said last topic once, but my last question is, if someone's on the fence about starting a permanent jewelry business or adding it to their boutique, what would you tell them?
Just go for it. To be honest with you, just go for it. If you feel like you have the funds to do that, make sure that you're prepared for that. But if you are wanting to do it, I'm very impulsive. And I think that's a lot of the reason that I am where I am today, because I tend to do. And then my staff is always like, well, how are we going to do this? And I said, I don't know, but we're going to figure it out. We always do. If you have that mindset going into it, I always say to people, you're not going to try this. I'm never going to try anything. I'm going to do this.
Yep.
I'm going to do this. You have to go into it with that mindset. And if you go into it with that mindset and you're ready to get your business going and hit the ground running when you get your stuff in, you'll be successful. You just have to have that correct mindset to make it happen.
1,000%. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And it was great having you on here, Ashely.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And if they want to go follow your boutique on Instagram, what's your Instagram handle?
It's Macoma, Macoma, Macoma Boutique. And we are on all the platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and we have an app, website, all that kind of stuff.
Perfect. Well, best of luck to you and everything. Not that you need luck, but so excited to have you as a student. I'm thankful you joined Link, and here's to a great 2023.
Thank you so much. You too.